So I could use just a basic description of what brings you to Utica.
We were asked by Senator Griffo to come out today and speak with licensees in the area. I understand primarily tavern and restaurant owners, and answer their questions and hear what their concerns are, and to have a dialogue with them. And I'm pleased to do it. I believe that we need to talk with the industry. We meet with all segments of the liquor industry from time to time, and I'm very pleased to be here today.
What were some of their concerns?
We've just talked with a few folks on the way in. The main meeting will be starting after this interview. There have been concerns about some people who don't follow the rules, and the people who do want to make sure that we are strenuously enforcing our laws against those who take an unfair advantage by breaking the law. I think they want to know about our processes. Some of our processes are dictated by a statute that's not always easy to understand, so I'm here probably more to explain some of how we do things and why we do things the way we do, so that people can understand it and be more compliant. And I'm sure there'll be a few surprises.
Like?
Don't know. That's why there's surprises.
But is there anything in particular that people need explained?
No. When we asked the senator what he thought the concerns would be that would be expressed today, he said that at least in terms of what feedback they got by inviting people here, there was no overriding theme, for example, that they'd heard of concern. I think a lot of what we hear may well be individually based, people with a very specific problem to their establishment, and I may be wrong, but I think a lot of it will go that way.
What are some of the rules that are being broken, some of the advantage, who's breaking the rules? What are some of the things that certain bar owners, tavern owners, restaurant owners are doing to skirt the system? Well,
for example, gambling is illegal on a licensed premises. That's a matter of statute. It's not a policy that we've created. And some bar owners will sponsor different forms of gambling, raffles, maybe card playing, and that's illegal. And when we are aware of it, we will fine them for that. And the law-abiding bar owner who doesn't do that is at a disadvantage, because it is a way to draw people to the premises. There are certain kinds of games that we do permit on premises, but sometimes, again, people don't restrict themselves to those. So that would be one example of unfairly competing. Sometimes we charge taverns with refilling bottles. You may have a bottle that has a very high-end brand name on it, but that's not what's in the bottle. That's cheating the consumer, and it's also a very unfair way to compete with the tavern across the street, where they are giving you what they say they're giving you. So those are examples of some of the violations that we come across, that we try to where we try to enforce the law to maintain a level playing field for everyone. I'm not I don't believe that every good deed should go unpunished. I think people should be rewarded for good behavior, and the people who break the law should get the message that it's not going to be in their interest to do so.
Now, you mentioned some surprises. Can you give us a hint about what to expect, or policies changing, or?
No. I don't have any major announcements. When I say surprises, you would ask what we thought some of the concerns might be, and I enumerated some of the concerns, and then I said, I find that with these meetings, it's very hard to predict sometimes what people bring up. So I expect a surprise or two, but I can't share with you what they are, because again, they wouldn't be surprising. But that's what makes it fun.
Do you think that the authority has any regional challenges specific to Central New York, or is it or you generally sort of apply yourselves across the state?
I think that in areas such as these, we're trying very hard to change the agency in a way that is more business friendly. We're trying to, for example, there was a backlog of applications for liquor licenses in the upstate area when I first took office a year and a half ago that exceeded 1,000. It was about 1,100 applications that were backlogged that hadn't been looked at. And the time to get a liquor license, for example, for a restaurant or a store, was about 7 or 8 months. We have reduced the upstate backlog of people applying for liquor licenses to zero. The time to get a liquor license has been reduced to half or less what it used to be.
So about 3 months now?
Yeah. And that's one way in which we are trying to be business friendly. We're trying to be a part of jump-starting the upstate economy in what I know is a very, very tough recessionary period. So when I think of areas like this area, the Utica area, in central New York, that's my emphasis. Not to nickel and dime licensees, not to play gotcha with licensees, to do good enforcement, because you need good enforcement to maintain a level playing field, but also to have an overall policy that is business friendly, and that's I think exemplified by my being here, to listen to people's concerns, and we want to try to address them. I don't sit here and claim that we've got the agency in a perfect state. It's not, and we want to learn too of what people think we may be doing right and what they may think we're doing wrong.
I don't want this to be redundant, but could you discuss a little bit what the dangers are when people aren't following the law, what that does for everybody?
Yeah, in fact, the way I became chairman, in a way, sort of exemplifies that. My prior job was with the Attorney General's office, being responsible for prosecuting consumer frauds, investment frauds, things like that, what we call the affirmative justice side of the Attorney General's office. And about 6.5 years ago, in that position, I was asked by a number of, many people in the liquor industry came to us, smaller players, smaller suppliers, smaller manufacturers, smaller wholesalers, smaller retailers, and said that because at that time, their allegation was because the SLA wasn't properly enforcing the laws that were on the books, you had to break the law to successfully compete in the liquor business. If you had a bar or a restaurant, or if you were a wholesaler, you had to break the law to compete. You had to, if you were a wholesaler, give illegal gifts to a retailer to get them to sell your products because somebody else, your competitor, was doing that. For example, if you were a retailer and you were a small retailer, the guy across the street who was much larger than you was getting all kinds of free products and other benefits from wholesalers that you weren't because you're a small guy. And that was creating an unlevel playing field. And the mission that was handed to me by the Attorney General at that time was to fix that. And I spent a year investigating the liquor industry. I ended up getting judges in the Supreme Court to issue 3 orders, one to each tier of the industry, the manufacturers, the wholesalers, and the retailers, that I drafted, in which not only were the most prominent violators fined, but also we laid out in great detail in the orders what the proper procedures are and what they are not, so that there would be what people told me from in some circles, for the first time there would be clarity, so people knew what the rules were and what they weren't. And for example, on the manufacturer's order, most of the big name brands that you would know, Bacardi, Brown-Forman, Diageo, they were on the order. On the wholesaler order, the biggest wholesalers in the state. On the retail order, some of the biggest retailers in the state. So that what happened then was, flashback now just to about 2 years ago, I was asked by people in the governor's office if I would come to the SLA and finish that job, in effect, and become the chair and complete that mission, and now fix the agency.
Can we get a couple more, and then we gotta get them downstairs?
Just one point of clarification. How many was the backlog when you took over?
The backlog at Upstate was over 1,000. Backlog liquor license application. It is. Am I still right? Is it 0?
Pretty close
now?
to 0.
It's 0 or just slightly above it now. That's one of the things we've done to make the agency more business friendly, so that has greatly reduced the time in which it takes to file an application and have it reviewed by us.
And how? And just, I know you're pressed for time, but how have you done that?
Like making our processes. We critically looked at every procedure by which we do business at the agency, scrutinized every procedure, and redone it. And it's caused some problems at times because, frankly, not everything we've instituted has always worked. So we start over again when it doesn't. And that's what we've done, critically looking at everything we do. Employees have been stepping up and giving the agency and the public more than I think they have in the past. those employees who haven't, and we do have some of those, are being disciplined, and that wasn't happening 2 years ago. So those are some of the ways in which we've gotten to where we are now.
Really, you're describing bureaucratic efficiency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are any inspections being carried out today? Is that one of the surprises?
No. There are no surprises coming from me. I'm at the point in life where I try as much as I can not to generate surprises.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I looked at it. 1143 was the exact number. If you want that,
Of the
today.
backlog?
The day he took office.
By the way, Dan, he's 30 years in Buffalo. I don't know if he's a Bills fan. He's a Buffalonian.
Sure.
All right.
New York City originally, but sure.
Good to see you, Senator.
I was there for the Kelly years.
Very nice.
Absolutely.